It's meeting number 1267. This beautiful evening is being themed, well done is better than well said. Before we can start this meeting, I request all members to kindly keep themselves on mute and refrains on speaking on topics of sex, religion, and politics. Well, Stanley, this very famous writer, producer, and a comic, when he was asked about his creation story of Spider-Man, he said that he was often laughed at when he brought up the idea of Spider-Man. And often when I speak at various events, the world is not going to believe in yours. So it's often better to hear a well done than a well said. Now, to take this very momentous evening to the next level, we have a gentleman with us, a very entrepreneurial spirit in himself, a creative mind, and I consider him as my best friend in Bangalore Toastmasters Club. Ladies and gentlemen, please help me in welcoming on stage our very president, Mr. Ayappa Ponnachanda Appanna.
Shreyas. Fellow Toastmasters and my dear distinguished guests, a very good evening to you all.
Good evening.
Welcome you all to the meeting.
Good evening,
Welcome
Mr.
you all. Good evening, sir. Welcome you all to this wonderful evening here in Bangalore Toastmasters Club. Before I proceed, I declare the meeting number 1267 open. May I request of Secretary Toastmaster Kamlesh to present the minutes of the last meeting, please.
Yeah, good evening, everyone. It's my pleasure to give the highlight of the last meeting. Last meeting, it started exactly on time, and the theme of the meeting was I am in love with summer. We had wonderful 48 members and guests together, and best table topic speaker was Toastmaster Sudipto and Theresa. Best tag team player, Toastmaster Hannah. The best role taker was Toastmaster Badhanathan for TMOD, and best evaluator for the evening, Toastmaster the DTM Rajdeep, and best speaker of the evening was Toastmaster Achyuta. So this is all from my side. Over to you, President. Thank you.
Thank you, Toastmaster Kamlesh. Members, can we pass the minutes, please? Any recommendation, comments?
We can pass.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much. We have many wonderful guests, meeting today. We have Chandan, we have Amir Ahmed. We have few more. Can we have a few minutes to introduce yourself? Can we have Chandan, please? Chandan, you there? Yes, Chandan. Your name and which club you're from, if you're a guest, what you do, yes. Hello? I think there's a disturbance. Can we have Amir Ahmed?
Sir, is audible?
Yes, Chandan, tell me.
Yes, I'm Chandan. I'm basically from Shimoga. Yes, sir. I'm Chandan.
Okay.
Yes, sir, is audible.
Yeah, a lot of disturbance. It's all right, Chandan. I think there is a disturbance. It's all right.
Mr. Ayappa, is there a club in Toastmasters club in Shimoga from where Chandan comes?
I think there is one, sir. There's a Kannada club is there, Kannada Toastmasters Club. Bilingual club it is actually.
What's the other language? English?
English and Kannada.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you, Mr.
I think we have many guests because paucity of the time. Let us welcome all our guests with a good round of applause. And if any of you require any information regarding or joining our club or knowing about a club, you can get in touch with your Vice President Membership, Toastmaster Hannah Victoria. Action speaks louder than words. Doing something is better exemplified by doing it rather than by saying it. Many times we listen to many motivational speakers and we get motivated to do something. But if we don't take action, those motivational talks will not add any value to our life. I can talk about Nelson Mandela, I can talk about Mother Teresa, I can talk about Dr. Abdul Kalam. But if you focus on how these stories help me in my life, and if I say those stories to my audience, it will be more impeccable. A few years back, I was just weighing 47 kg. And I used to feel embarrassed to see myself in the mirror. I was not confident about myself. I was feeling kind of low self-esteem. I started reading many health magazines, wonderful articles related to the fitness. But nothing great was happening. I had the knowledge on how to work on my body, but absolutely zero action. One day I decided enough is enough. Let me start jogging in the evening. And I started jogging. Of course, my stamina increased, but my weight condition was worsening. Then I started going to the gym. Because after a couple of months, I did not find any changes in my weight. There was absolutely no improvement. But my trainer told, you be there in the gym at least for an year, see the results. But still no improvement at all. Later, I realized diet was not in place. I worked so hard that in a span of 15 months, I gained almost 14 kg of my body weight. In this roller coaster ride, what I learned is that our body is smart enough. Our body is smart, and unless we train it properly, it will not respond properly. These are the few techniques I followed. Number one, the consistency. Be regular. Don't miss your workout, what may come. Number two, variety. Bring variety to your exercise. Otherwise, our muscle get used to the routine pattern and we will not see any desired result. Number three, intensity. This is very important. If you are comfortable in running 1 kilometer per day, slowly increase to 2 kilometers per day. If you are comfortable to do a plank for 30 seconds, increase to 1 minute. Finally, the important one, your diet supplement should be, you should provide your body with good natural diet supplements. Always keep it in mind, eat to live, but not live to eat. This fitness pattern helped me to keep fit myself like anything. I'm sure it helped me, it should help you as well. But only thing is that if you want to keep yourself fit and healthy, start taking action. Even in Toastmasters, if you want to become an effective communicator, effective speaker, join a Toastmaster club. You may find a plethora of articles, books on how to become an effective speaker. But unless you practice, these knowledges remain in your head itself or remain in the book itself. If you ask me, Toastmasters is a wonderful platform to practice and perform the art of public speaking. To take the meeting further, we have a gentleman amongst us. He has been with Bangalore Toastmasters Club for more than 3 years. He works as a senior leader in Nokia. He believes in thinking on your feet, a main parameter to become successful in unforeseen situations. Ladies and gentlemen, please put your hands together to welcome on stage the MC, the Toastmaster of this evening, Toastmaster Lokesh Talele.
Thank you very much, Mr. President, for the wonderful introduction. Ayyappa and I are brother in BNW. not black and white, we call as brightness and weight. He started from the low end of the spectrum for the weight, and I am starting from the other end of the spectrum, where from 98, I have reduced to almost 88. Thank you very much, Ayappa. So fellow Toastmasters and our esteemed guests, welcome again. We've got a very wonderful evening planned for you, a learning opportunity of learning and growing together. And for the guest, I have something very special, a story, a part of the history that you won't find in your history books. Exactly 118 years ago, there was a young man like me who was very passionate about helping other people to reach their full potential. And in 1903, with this in mind, he started to conduct sessions on how to improve the communication skills and how to improve the leadership skill. In 1905 March, he founded the first unofficial Toastmasters Club. His name was Ralph C. Smedley. He came up with a curriculum on how young people, they can develop their communication skills, they can develop their leadership skills, they can fulfill their potentials and be of service to the society. And on October 22, 1924, the first Toastmasters Club was established in US, California. From then, the Toastmasters International has grown to a very big movement with about 162,000 plus clubs worldwide in almost like 145 countries now. That's more than the countries where my company Nokia has a presence. And with more than 364,000 members worldwide. That's Google, Microsoft, Facebook combined together, more than that. Toastmasters International is a non-profit organization with a focus on helping people develop the communication skills and the leadership skills in different areas of life. And here we are in the Bangalore Toastmasters Club. This is the second oldest club in India and started way back 1997, much before I came to Bangalore, and with more than almost 100 members on charter. And we do have our the founding member, Toastmaster Robinson, guiding us through, and we also have very distinguished Toastmasters in our club. This club has also produced great leaders within Toastmasters as well as in different parts of this, in different aspects of the society also. Now, for the benefit of the guest, a Toastmasters meeting has 3 segments. The first segment, we call it as the prepaid speeches. Now, Toastmasters, as I mentioned, helps us to develop the communication skills and the leadership skills. To develop these skills, there are a set of competencies that we develop, and there are pathways depending on the goal of each person, which give us a path on how to develop these competencies. So with the Toastmasters, each speech has a purpose, and then the Toastmasters, depending on the purpose, they prepare the speech to develop that competencies. And one of the unique thing about Toastmasters is that we are assigned a mentor when we join a club, and this mentor, someone who's very experienced, helps us to develop this competency through our speeches. So first part is the prepared speeches in any meeting, and the second part is the table topics, where members get an opportunity to speak impromptu on any topic. And today we might skip this because we have a business meeting in the interest of the time. And the third part and most important part is that evaluation. Evaluation is like, having a friend who listens to your speech and provides you a constructive feedback on what has went well and what you can improve. And that's a very good learning opportunity for everyone, not only for the speaker, but also for the people who are watching, who are participating in the entire meeting. It's an amazing opportunity of learning. Some of the best learnings that I had as a Toastmaster was to listen to the evaluations. Yeah. And to take the meeting forward, we also have a person, a very experienced Toastmasters, a general evaluator. This person takes the notes, how the meeting started, takes the notes throughout the meeting, this person, like other evaluators, gives us a feedback how well the meeting went and how we can improve the meetings in future. And today, for this particular role, we have a very good experienced Toastmaster. He is an entrepreneur in hospitality industry, someone I would say who practices effectuation, the person who makes things happen. Please join your hands together to welcome our General Evaluator, Toastmaster Alan.
Hi, Lokesh. Thank you for that introduction. Good evening, everyone. As the General Evaluator for this meeting, I will be evaluating the proceedings of the meeting. As part of this evaluation, I also have a team to assist me in this, and I will evaluate the whole meeting. Now, coming to the team that will help me in this endeavor, we have the timer, TM Toastmaster Akhilesh. So may I ask Akhilesh to define his role, please?
Good evening, fellow Toastmasters and dear guests. As a timer today, I'll time all the formal speeches and evaluations. I will also alert each of the speaker of the time they have left by changing my virtual background to green, amber, and red background colors. For prepared speeches, the duration of the speech should be between 5 to 7 minutes. And for the evaluations, the duration should be between 2 to 3 minutes. I'll present my report at the end of the meeting. Back to General Evaluator.
As part of the role, as part of the R counter, we have Toastmaster Rajanna.
Yes. Good evening, fellow Toastmasters and dear guests. So today, as an R counter, I will be keeping track and note of all the crutch words that you're going to use in your speeches. So I request all of them to use less of them and give the best out of them. And I will give my report at the end of the meeting. Over to you, General Evaluator.
Thank you. In the role of the grammarian, we have Toastmaster Abhirama. May I request Abhirama to define his role?
A very good evening to all of you. As the grammarian of today's meeting, I will take notes of interesting usages of words, phrases, similes, metaphors, or any good and creative usages of the language. I will also keep a note of the not so good usages of English language. The word of the day is effectuate, effectuation. So the word means to bring something into effect or to bring something into operation. A good usage can be, in spite of an exponential surge in COVID cases, the governments are reluctant to effectuate a lockdown. I encourage all of you to effectuate the usage of the word effectuation. Back to you, Toastmaster Aaron.
Yeah, and in the role of a listener, we have Toastmaster Priyanka.
Good evening, fellow Toastmasters and guests. As a listener, my responsibility is to carefully pay attention to the entire meeting and make note of key aspects. And at the end of the meeting, I would test everyone's listening skills. So, to everyone, please get up and be prepared at the end of the meeting. Thank you, Toastmaster Alan. Over to you.
Yeah, so this is the team that is going to assist me. But having said that, we are going to evaluate the meeting, but may I request everyone not to let that spoil the fun that you have in the meeting, right? And be as spontaneous as you can. And evaluations will always be there, but the most important thing is for us to all have fun. And I will see you at the end of the meeting with the whole team. Back to Lokesh, the Toastmaster.
Thank you very much, Toastmaster Alan, and thank you very much for the team. So let's start with the segment on the prepared speeches. And we've got 3 speakers today presenting their speeches. And before I call the first speaker, let me invite the evaluator for the first speech. And this person, he's a graduate from IIT and a very senior leader in Dell. He's a sports enthusiast who loves football. And the best part is that he can talk on any subject. Please join your hands together to welcome Toastmaster Sudipto.
Thank you, Lokesh. So the member is giving the second speech from level 1 on the presentation mastery series. And the purpose statements of the speech are the purpose of this project is for the member to present a speech on any topic, receive feedback, and apply the feedback to a second speech. The purpose of the speech is also for the member to present a speech and receive feedback from the evaluator. Back to you, Lokesh.
Thank you very much, Toastmaster Sudipto. And our first speaker is someone who's very passionate about life. She has done her MBA and she loves singing, a very good singer. Please join your hands together to welcome our first speaker of the day, Toastmaster Zarina. The title of her speech is The Power of a Kind Word and a Gentle Touch. Toastmaster Zarina.
Am I audible and visible?
Yes, loud and clear.
Visible?
Yes.
Too often we underestimate the power of a touch, a smile, a kind word, a listening ear, an honest compliment, or the smallest act of caring, all of which have the potential to turn a life around. Good evening, Toastmasters and distinguished guests.
Good evening.
In this hyper-competitive world, we are all warped up in our own lives, trying to win the rat race. Is that what makes life? Too often, as adults, we forget our P's and Q's and all the little things that goes on towards making good manners, thinking that these are small things which doesn't make any difference. Nothing could be further from the truth. I am a personification of that. I was rejected and bullied until I met this great person whom I consider to be an angel sent by the Lord to this day. He gave me an encouraging word, a gentle pat, the smallest act of affection. From that day on, my life changed forever. Just 15 minutes. 15 minutes, ladies and gentlemen, was to impact the rest of my life. The fact that I am sitting here and speaking confidently to you is a testament to that smallest act of caring. I never imagined that I would take up a career and would do so well in that. Mother Teresa was right when she said, the poverty of being unwanted, unloved, and uncared for is the greatest poverty. Joy is love. Joy is a net of love through which we can catch souls. Scientists have discovered that there are 4 major chemicals in the brain which influence our happiness. DOSE, D-O-S-E, dopamine, oxytocin, serotonin, and endorphins. Out of these, the love and happiness hormone, oxytocin, is the most important. Things like empathy, trust, friendship, generosity, and altruism is associated with oxytocin. Scientists have found that higher levels of oxytocin leads to increased levels of happiness, which is why the Bill Gates, the Warren Buffets, and the Rockefellers of this world have donated a major part of their wealth for good works. Now, all of us cannot be Warren Buffets or Bill Gates, but we can make a difference in our own small way. Way back in 2006, when I had just completed engineering, I started out as a telesales executive with Standard Chartered Bank, Dubai, since I was a fresher with no experience. One day, I went to the head office to receive the good news from the senior manager that I would be getting a generous bonus that month because I had met my targets. While coming back in the elevator, a middle-aged distinguished man entered the lift. Being in a jovial mood, I flashed a cheery smile at him, even though he was a stranger. The man smiled back and asked me about myself. On hearing that I was a fresh IT graduate, he told me to come and meet him in the bank's IT department. When I went to the IT department, I found out that he was the IT head of Standard Chartered Middle East. There was a vacancy which had come up in IT support in Dubai. He gave me the job then and there. No test, no interview, nothing. Just a smile landed me the most coveted job. Mother Teresa was right again when she said, "We can never know all the good that a simple smile can do." Now, we may not be repaid for all the good things that we have done. Nevertheless, the joy of giving freely without expecting anything in return substantiates it. Last month, I took my family out to a 4-star restaurant for a birthday treat for dinner. We entered the restaurant and took our places. A man was standing at the corner singing songs on karaoke. All the patrons enjoyed their dinner without giving him a second chance. We finished our dinner, and while leaving the restaurant, I complimented the man, saying that he sang well. His serious face broke into a wide smile, and he thanked me profusely. Now, I didn't get any tangible perk or benefit out of that. I didn't get a job, nothing. But making his day made my day too. So, friends, I implore you, let's start minding our manners and doing good for others from this day on. Greet and smile at your neighbor when you see him in the morning. Greet your building watchman in the morning. Open the door for others. Give up your seat for a lady. See how your life will change for the better. To conclude, let us not withhold a kind word or an affectionate gesture from anyone. Let's use our tongues to heal, not to hurt, to encourage instead of to criticize, to spread positivity instead of negativity, to love instead of hate. For at the time of your death, at the hour of your death, what will not matter is how much wealth you have amassed, but how much you have loved. Over to Toastmaster of the day.
Thank you very much, Toastmasters Rene, for reminding us on the powerful effect of smile and the genuine appreciation. May I request everyone to show our appreciation. Thank you very much. Gratitude to you, Toastmasters Rene. Request to all the speakers. Akhilesh is our timer for the day, and during your speech, you can pin Akhilesh so that you are aware of the time. Akhilesh and So for the next, before I call the next speaker, let me invite the evaluator. So evaluator is someone who molds the minds of students, the future generation of our country, India. So let's join our hands together to welcome Toastmasters Smita Roshi. She is a teacher in the Bethany School. Welcome, Toastmaster Smita. Please, may I request you to read out the guidelines. Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. The speakers attempting level 3 of project 2, connect with storytelling. The purpose of this project is for the member to practice using a story within a speech or giving a speech that is a story. Over to you, Lokesh.
Thank you very much, Toastmaster Smita. Our next speaker is someone who found her love of the life in MD. Yes, those of us who have watched the contest, we know who the speaker is. So please join your hands together to welcome the next speaker, Varsha BM.
You're not striking the right note. My music teacher yelled as she saw me struggle through playing one of my favorite songs on violin. It was 6 months since I had begun to train, but unfortunately, that right note always seemed out of my reach, for I was unable to practice. Do you know why? When I wanted to practice my violin at home, people were shouting on top of their tone. When I wanted to practice my violin with peers, they always happened to shut their ears. When I wanted to practice my violin at park, I only heard a few dogs bark. Alas, would I ever be able to strike that right note? Ladies and gentlemen, and fellow note strikers. As a baby, I would not sleep until I heard classical records. And as I grew up, I started listening on to masterpieces by legendary classical musicians. The only playtime I remember was to come home, sit alone in my room, and imagine myself playing and performing for various stages across the globe. Well, kids of my age were collecting tattoos, tazzoos, and trump cards, but I was traveling miles and miles in search of musical cassettes and CDs. In short, I loved music. I was music, and music was me. This was till I got into my class 10. It was a horrid phase with all those exams which came along. That was when I heard those two dreaded words that every Indian child is petrified of. Settle down. So depending on which age group you belong to, this has a different implication. If you are a kid, you settle down when you score better than Sharmaji's daughter. If you are a grown-up, you settle down when you land into a sound income-oriented job. If you are a married woman, you settle down when you become a child-producing factory. I'm not telling you this. Society. Well, at that juncture in my life, when I was in class 10, the situation demanded me to score well, excluding everything else. How could I do that? I was someone who was seeing my career in music. I mustered all the courage I could and went out to speak to my parents about pursuing my career in music. Barely had a few words left my mouth. The only music that I started hearing from then on was them screaming at me. Performing artists do not have a regular job. Their concerts are seasonal, income unreasonable. Their life is just a game till they earn some fame. Who will marry you? How will you pay your bills? The nagging and taunting went on for weeks and months. At the end, with a heavy heart, I killed my musical dreams. Music then was a distant dream. While life had turned robotic, a magic happened. Passion had decided to put me in the place I currently belong. It was a concert evening at Ravindra Kalakshetra. The auditorium was filled with 1,000-odd people. The musician on stage was playing a perfect blend of notes, each one more harmonious and melodious than the other, and thereby was receiving a thundering round of applause. The concert had begun to stir all the feelings and emotions that I buried deep down for ages. Also, my soul had begun to dance. As soon as the concert got over, I rushed to grab his autograph. Involuntarily, the musician in me questioned him. Sir, how many hours you practice a day? To which he gently smiled and answered, hardly for 1 or 2 hours, but I have a corporate job to take care of. I was astonished. Was that even a possibility? It was not just the artist, but the entire band consisted of people who had their jobs other than music. It was then and there I decided that the society be damned, I should be getting back to my music. I, of course, did not quit my safe job. I, after all, had a lot of things to take care of, my bills, Toastmasters membership fee, and a lot of other commitments. Without hearing to all the naysaying voices which came from within and outside, I diligently practiced. It was only during the weekends. In about 6 months, I was able to strike the right notes. Ladies and gentlemen, it was neither the society nor my job which was my hindrance, but my own mindset. How often in life do we take a step back by doing something that we love the most and curse us every now and then? Also, how often do we take 2 steps forward by giving everything to our passion without bothering about affordability or a good standard of living? Can there be a mid path? Can there be a balance? If you're able to give 48 hours a week to your livelihood, will you not be able to give 8 hours for your life? Think about it. It is just 1 hour a day. The void inside you is craving to be filled. The best way to do it is by giving your time to your passion, irrespective of what it is: music, art, sport, books. Start giving it just little by little, and soon you shall feel full, just like me. If I am able to bring a perfect blend between my passion and profession, then so can you. If I am able to strike the right notes, why can't you? Over to Lokesh.
Thank you very much, Toastmaster Varsha, for reminding us to follow our passion irrespective of the situations around us. And I'm sure 1 hour a day, or at least on the weekend, we can take off time to follow our passion and rekindle the spirit within us. Thank you very much for reminding us this again. Thank you. Thank you very much. So for the next speaker, the evaluator is someone who has inspired all of us a lot. He's the one who's a mentor for many of us, a person who has won the national awards. He has also won many district contests in Toastmasters International. He has conducted many education sessions, and we have learned a lot from him on table topics, on how to do the evaluations and so forth. So the evaluator for the third speaker is DTM Rajdeep Manwani. And to help us read the guidelines for the speaker, may I invite our VP Education, Srijit.
Good evening, everyone. Am I audible?
Yes.
Yeah. Speaker is attempting from path dynamic leadership and level 2, second speech, understanding your communication style. And the purpose statement is to learn about different communication styles and identify your primary style. Over to you, Toastmaster Lokesh.
Thank you very much, Toastmaster Srijit. Our next speaker, she is one of the first women president at Bangalore Toastmasters Club and one of the very few initial DTMs. She is a trainer, a life coach, and a very, very creative person. I remember that once she dressed like a Santa Claus. Please join your hands together to welcome our speaker, DTM Sumitra Manmohan. And the topic today is Align with the Green, 4 Mantras. DTM Sumitra Manmohan, welcome.
Yeah. Am I audible and visible?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. Thank you, Lokesh, for that great introduction. One evening, I was getting the dinner ready, and I was struggling to cut a piece of ginger. My knife flew off and landed on the ground. I picked it up, and this time the knife cut through so smoothly as if it was butter. I wondered how, and it struck me this time the knife was aligned well with the grain or the fiber of the ginger. Friends, it's the same when we deal with people. If we are aligned with their grain, their feelings, their emotions, their values, their traits, their personality types, and other important factors, we can get the response that we desire from them. A very good evening, my friends. Today, I'm going to share 4 mantras with you all, which helps me enjoy happy equations with whomever I interact. When I started working, my style was the direct style. I was over-obsessed about time. Anyone who beat about the bush or spoke irrelevantly, I used to get very, very irritated. I was practical, work-oriented, and I always felt this small talk to build rapport with people, utter waste of time. So when I first started off as a trainer, my boss was the training coordinator. Now, she was a lady with the initiating style. She loved chit-chatting, very friendly, and would always be helpful, but hardly listened to anyone. Worst of all, she hardly valued time. Now, this is what irritated me the most. And when she took off on her meetings, which she said, it's just for half an hour, girls. And it would go on for 4 to 5 hours. That's when I would get agitated. And unfortunately, I couldn't hold back my feelings. She would see me frowning. That was enough for her to take off on her stories, poke fun at me. That got me more angry, and we got into clashes. Sometimes it was so heated. So my fellow trainer suggested, cool down, Sumi. If you want more work from her, cool down and always flatter her. I thought I must accept her and not react. That's my first mantra, accept, not react. So this is what I did. So her next meeting, I avoided arguments, controlled my temper, but it showed on my face. She saw me frowning. Again, she took off on her poking jokes, her stories. So then I said, I must do something else. So this time, my second mantra, smile to bear. So this next meeting, I avoided eye contact with her, kept smiling and smiling. Now that confused her. She had no clue what I was feeling. And that also helped me because I started taking control of my emotions. We built up the rapport with each other, and I got very friendly with her. And I also discovered she was really a large-hearted person, very caring. And those stories and poking fun were only her way of pranks to provoke me. She made a great impact on me. And that's how I guess my present predominant style is the initiating one as per the self-assessment. So now what happens when the initiating style has to interact with the analytical type? These people take delight in data, facts, stats, and figures. Not my cup of tea. They have a great eye for detail and painfully perfectionist. And their conversation and discussions, very entangled analysis, which get boring and heavy. And fearing my thinking would get paralysis, I thought, now what's my mantra with this? So I decided it should be never justify to nullify. Now this type Many of the traits of that was in my son. He was with us during the pandemic, and he is a quality assurance professional with a lot of years of corporate experience, no work to do. My kitchen is his target of analysis. So when I'm trying to get some snacks ready for the men, he walks into the kitchen, looks around. Mom, kitchen is very cluttered. Let's get rid of some of these things. And I'm going to rearrange your shelf. Rearrange, son. I can't remember the present one. Age is catching up with me. No, 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 no. And I started trying to justify my need. And then I remembered, never justify to nullify, because then his analysis would get more detailed. So then this is what I did. He came there. So I smiled, continued my work. And so he started saying, I didn't participate in his discussions. It backfired. And then he said, Mom, you're not listening to me. You're an effective communicator. God help your mentees, Mom. So now what next? They say if you can't avoid, enjoy it. So my next mantra, comedy, a remedy. See the humor in the situation. So next time he started off, I smiled, I kept nodding, I said, yes. And so when he paused, I said, what, done? I said, yes. Your suggestions, your observations, I've made a note, Mr. Quality Inspector. He smiled. And one suggestion I have, in life, remember the son. Job, spouse, and nowadays mates, you never get the perfect one. Make the best of what you get. He ha ha ha, and he parted on a happy note. So my dear friends, my 4 mantras: accept, not react, smile and bear, never justify to nullify, comedy a remedy. And this is how I align with the grain and get along. Back to you, Toastmaster of the day.
Thank you very much, Team Sumitra, for sharing this 4 mantra of life. Very, very useful. And I could relate that to many instances in the life also. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
So fellow Toastmasters and guests, we had a very great time learning from all the 3 great speakers also. And to enhance our learning, now I'd like to invite our General Evaluator, Toastmaster Alan, to share his observations. Toastmaster Alan, please.
Yeah, good evening again, everyone. And yeah, we had an action-packed meeting. The first observation, definitely being, and this is one of the hallmarks of Bangalore Toastmasters Club.
I'm sorry to interrupt you, Toastmaster, and I think I forgot to mention about the voting link and the code. And so for the benefit of all the members, the voting link has been posted into the WhatsApp group, and the code is 5 4 times. 5555 4 times. Yeah. While we wait for members to vote for the speaker, just for the information of the guests, that if you'd like to know more about the Toastmasters and the Bangalore Toastmasters Club, please contact our Vice President Membership, Hannah. Here. Over to you, General Evaluator.
Yeah, I'll just give everyone maybe 10 seconds more. Can I have a thumbs up once you're done? That would also help. Yeah. Yeah, so we started off in a very, action-packed way, in the sense that one of the hallmarks of Bangalore Toastmasters Club is the fact that 10 minutes before the meeting, we have members who come together and there's an interactive kind of session. The president and and his team from the committee, they welcome all the people, and there is a round of informal introductions that go on. Another note, I will individually evaluate, but I also was very happy with even the TMOD during this time asked everyone who were role takers to kind of put on their camera to check if everything is good and if the lighting is okay. So it was very, very impressive, right, from that standpoint. And at 6:30 sharp, the meeting started. Now, the meeting started with the dynamic Shreyas Johan, who was, I think he's standing in for our Sergeant at Arms, who was normally there. Now, he started off the meeting, great energy, right? Started off with great energy. But one thing that really stood out in all of that is the fact that though Shreyas had great energy, there was a smile missing. And I feel when you start off a meeting, when there are members and guests, it's extremely important when you are welcoming everyone to have that smile on your face. And another small aspect is the attire, right? I just wish Shreyas would have worn a collared, outfit. It would make for a better, presentation. And the reason why I say smile is because as a person, as a sergeant at arms, when you start off the meeting, you are laying the foundation for the rest of the meeting. But overall, in terms of all the tick marks to cover during that time, I think Shreyas, as a stand-in sergeant at arms, did a great job. And I request everyone to give him a huge round of applause. Yeah. He introduced the president. Before I get into the president, I would get into, Kamlesh, who conducted the minutes of the meeting. Now, the minutes of the meeting by Kamlesh was very, very detailed, right? But one thing that feedback that I have for Kamlesh is that, again, no, lack of energy. Yes, it's the minutes of the meeting. Can we add some life into it? Is there creative ways of presenting the minutes of a meeting? Also, one thing that I would like to say is that, yes, there is a lot of referral of notes, but when you refer notes, it's important to look into the camera, because then it brings about a more relatable feel while you are speaking. But overall, for the fantastic detailed minutes of the meeting, everyone please give Kamlesh a huge round of applause, please. And then we had our, very dynamic but yet soft-spoken President Ayappa, right? When one thing about our president is that he may not, bursting with energy, but he has a persona which commands your attention, right? And one of the hallmarks of our president is the fact that he brings relatable personal stories to the forefront. And whenever I personally have looked forward to the stories that he brings to the table with relation to the themes. And it's always very interesting to witness, because when someone gives a personal story, it becomes relatable because you start relating it in your personal life. And that's always with his weight journey and health, the journey that he had to share. There were a lot of parallels that I drew personally, and I know a lot of people would have as well. And then the fact that he narrated this whole story and related it to Toastmasters, right, made the message even more stronger. Now, what is the suggestion that I have for the president? One of the suggestions that I have for the president is the fact that the president, when he's speaking, is not speaking to the camera. When he is trying to, remember something, his eyes go up, and most of the time is looking, down, on a downward gaze, right? If he is to look, straight into the camera for the benefit of the members and the guests, I feel your message, because it's also a more personal message, will be much more stronger, right? So that is the feedback for the president. But having said that, for the beautiful message and for sharing that personal beautiful story, please give the president a huge round of applause, please. Yeah. And yeah, now coming to the TMOD, I will come to towards in the end. Now, moving on to the speakers, right? We had speaker 1, who is Toastmaster Zareen. And may I call on her evaluator, Toastmaster Sudipto, to give his evaluation of her speech.
Thank you, Alan. Smile at strangers and you just might change a life. So said Steve Maraboli. And Mr. General Evaluator, fellow Toastmasters, and Toastmaster Zareen, you did just that. You used the power of your smile to change your professional life. There were several positives I noted in your speech. Let me go through a few of them at least. So first of all, to start with your topic selection. In today's strife-drawn world, the power of smile, the touch, and the kindness are, some of the hallmarks which will bring the society together. And I would say with your topic selection itself, you hit the bullseye. You really connected with the audience with that. Then you went on to expand on the topic. You had some very good quotes, especially the one from Mother Teresa that definitely rang home. And you talked about and particularly expanded on oxytocin and how that relates to your speech topic, right? You went on to narrate at least a couple of them, I would say 2.5 or at least 2 full personal stories, which connected with the theme of the meeting, and particularly how you changed your professional life, and then how you could smile at the the guitarist at the restaurant, and how that that lighted up his life. So those, I mean, again, great examples of the theme, and then great examples as a take home for some of us also. So, I mean, given your speech, right, how do I take it to the next level? And just a few suggestions in my humble opinion. Firstly, I think there was something missing in your speech. So for a speech on smile and laugh and happiness and all that, I did not get single smile out of you in the entire speech. I think that was a glaring miss. I think, and if I try to expand on that, because I know you are a very spontaneous person. We have heard you so many times before. So what led to this situation, I felt, was your lack of preparation, or your preparation was not really up to the mark, because of which, you know, you were kind of little bit tense and trying to focus just on your speech and forgot to unwind a little. Had you done that, I mean, the smile would have spontaneously come back to you, come on your speech. Okay, so other than that, I felt one more thing I felt you could have done a little bit better is your transitions. Your speech went on, I mean, almost at a monologue. So it's, I mean, even if you are finding it difficult to get in a transition, a simple way to do it, you know, you're sitting at one spot, between your next message in the speech, just move a little, so that introduces the pause. People get a second to take their attention, and then, you know, you come back with the story to grab that. So those are the few things I would say which you can use to take your speech to the next level. But I mean, those are, you know, mere specks in the cloud in a fantastic speech. And my takeaway from your speech remains: use your tongue to heal and not to hurt. Mr. General Evaluator.
Thank you, Sudipto. As my role as a general evaluator is not to evaluate the speaker, but the evaluator, right? So looking at it from that perspective, one of the things that, you know, feedback that if I were to give to Toastmaster Sudipto is the fact that if you are talking about saying, you know, you need to smile more, in a speech in her speech, for example, she had a thing that someone gave a big smile, right? So if you give an example to substantiate what you're saying, it is a better learning experience for the speaker. Take a part of a speech where she spoke about someone gave me a big smile, and showcase that it would help the speaker much more. The other aspect of your speech, though it was very thorough, one aspect that I felt was missing from her speech, which you could have touched on, is her eye contact. In fact, she was looking left of screen throughout the speech and not moving her eyes and not looking at the audience, right? And I thought that actually impacted the delivery of her speech. So that's my feedback. But overall, please give Toastmasters Sudipto for his detailed evaluation a huge round of applause. Please.
Thank you, Alan. Thank you. Thank you for those suggestions.
Now moving on to the second speaker, we had Toastmaster Varsha, the speaker. May I call on her evaluator, Smita Roshi, to give her evaluation.
Thank you, Alan. You can hear me, right?
Yeah.
Good evening once more, everyone, and Varsha in particular. Varsha, I was absolutely so thrilled with your speech. I think I could feel that, you know, that passion being coming out of me. You really, and I'm sure everybody would have felt the same. It was such a wonderful speech. Now, coming to the points. Your gestures, I should say, all throughout the speech, you used your hand movements, gestures, and it added to the impact of your speech, which was, I found it to the topmost standard. You use it wonderfully well. Then you use a space around you. Usually in the virtual medium, you don't find that, but you use it, especially when you're telling about the 3 stages of about settling down, what people say, and use the 3 stages. You use the space correctly. I was so glad to see somebody using it in this virtual platform. Eye contact, and your expressions with the eyes were good. And you were coming towards the camera and speaking, which in this virtual medium, what maximum effect you could give, you gave it. Well done. The clarity of the speech was well good. Vocal variety, you added conversation. So that vocal variety was also expressed well. You carefully plotted. There was a plot, which is very important for a story. You said your story, which was impressive. And then throughout the speech, you build it up, and there was a climax where you met a person who inspired you, a band of people. That's the only place I have to give you a suggestion. If you had given a name, it would have given more authenticity to your speech. So that is the only point you could have just given, and every one of us would, oh yes, this is the person who inspired Varsha. So that would have been that's the only suggestion I want to give you. Name the band, the person who inspired you. Then the climax where you were inspired and you transmitted your inspiration to each of us, the audience. So you made us aware that 1 hour a day for passion. In that way, we can balance our work and our life, what we love to do. Excellent speech, Varsha. Looking forward to hear more from you. Over to you, Alan.
Yeah, thank you, Smita, for that very detailed evaluation. Though one of the points that I would like to add here is the fact that Varsha stood and did her speech, right? Which added a lot to the speech, right? When you sit and deliver a speech, when you stand, whether it's your bodily gestures to your voice modulation to the what an audience can see of you, that is something that was something very, very impressive, and that could have been touched on. But thank you so much, Smita, for that detailed evaluation. Please give the speaker and Smita a huge round of applause. And we had the third speaker, DTM Sumitra Manmohan, and her evaluator. May I request DTM Rajdeep to give his evaluation, please.
Thank you, Alan. Am I audible?
Yes, you are.
Fellow Toastmasters, General Evaluator, and Madam Sumitra in particular. Today, you took us through a wonderful journey of explaining us the different communication styles with 4 mantras to enhance the way in which we communicate with those different styles of people. Now, let me say what impressed me most about your speech, Sumitra. First was your pleasantness and poise. You have such a pleasant voice, which actually captivates the listener and makes a person listen to you continuously. There's a gift of that pleasantness, and that pleasantness is with the poise that you neither go too fast nor too slow. So every story sinks in. So that is a wonderful part of every delivery, and especially in this speech. There was pleasantness, there was poise, there was calm, and still there was a message. The second thing was your examples and engagement. You had so much of engagement. We were engaged, we were hooked throughout your speech. And how did you hook us? With brilliant examples, right from trying to cut the ginger to talking about your boss, and then talking about your son and getting everything done, and then delivering the punch at the end by giving us the 4 mantras of how to tackle it. So it was very engaging, and it was laced with brilliant examples. Now, where do you think I could suggest to you something to improve? Now, let me give you 2 small suggestions. One, when I was young, my mommy used to give me 4 keys and used to tell me open the door. And I never knew which key to open which door with, because there used to be 4 cupboards. Now, I thought you gave us 4 mantras. But out of those 4 mantras, only 2 mantras worked for you. Because when you said accept and not to resist and reject, that didn't work with your boss. And the second one worked, smile. And the same thing with your son. When you tried to not to justify and nullify, that didn't work, and the comedy worked, those 4 messages. So 2 of your keys worked and two didn't work. And you gave us the 4 mantras for all the 4 keys to work. So I was a little confused there. Which 2 keys do I use? Because 2 keys are working for you and 2 keys are not working for you. So if I would suggest 1 or 2 keys. Smile always, because that works. And always try and create humor and comedy out of the situation, because that always works. And the second thing which I would like to suggest is, since the speech called for all the 4 communication styles, you touched on only 3. You touched on the initiating style, you touched which is your style, which you mentioned, you touched on the direct style, which your boss was, and you touched on the analytical style. But there was one communication style which is given in the manual, which is called the supporting style. Might be you could have just mentioned a bit passing reference to it so that we could have come to know about it. But anyway, Sumitra, for a beautiful, pleasant, poised, engaging, and a nice, entertaining speech, you deserve all the applause. Just a little bit tweaking of the messaging and giving us 1 mantra or 2 mantras rather than giving us 4, and just incorporating a little bit of the completeness in your story and about the communication style would have made it from good to great. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Rajdeep, for that clinical evaluation. There is nothing that I would like to add to that evaluation. Now, the voting link for the best evaluator has been shared. The code remains the same. So we'll just give 20 seconds before we move on with our evaluation. Yeah. Can we have a thumbs up once people are done with the voting, please?
Alan, you can give 15 minutes and I think you can continue after that.
Yeah?
You just give 15 minutes and you can continue. So 15 seconds, sorry.
Yeah, okay. Okay. Yeah, so now moving on now, coming to, before I ask the team that has assisted me to give their evaluation, it's now time to speak about the Toastmaster of the day, Lokesh, right? And now Lokesh, one thing that is there is that Lokesh has a great grasp over the language. He is a very experienced Toastmaster. And, I felt that especially when it came to talking about people in between the speeches, he had good transitions, right? Between the speakers, he transitioned, well. Having said that, I felt Lokesh, a certain amount of, energy was missing in terms of one, voice modulation, right? And second, in terms of transitioning between speakers. For example, the TMOD is a person that, is the thread between, that binds the whole meeting together. And it's important to have a certain amount of energy to keep that meeting going. Now, when you got introduced that energy, okay, that is required in terms of voice modulation, I felt that energy missing. That is one small aspect. And the other small aspect is that I don't know whether your notes were on sideways, but you had an inclination to look sideways, which I felt at some points in time was, a little distracting. And the other small point is I felt when it comes to introductions of people, I feel we need to look at more, it needed to be probably a little more thorough in terms of the introductions, in terms of what you say about the person, right? And you can have your own innovative touch to it. Either it could be theme of the day or, whatever it is. So I felt that the introductions had some amount of improvement in that aspect. But having said that, the TMOD role is a very, very challenging role. And you really helped bind the whole meeting together and hold it all together. And, for doing that job in an absolutely smashing attire, I would request everyone, please give the TMOD Lokesh a huge round of applause. Now, now moving on to the tag team, may I request the timer, Akhilesh, to give his feedback and evaluation.
Regarding the prepared speeches, Toastmaster Zareen took 6 minutes 56 seconds, Toastmaster Varsha took 6 minutes 40 seconds, and DTM Sumitra ma'am took 7 minutes 48 seconds. And for the evaluations, Toastmaster Sudipto took 4 minutes 5 seconds, Toastmaster Smita took 3 minutes 20 seconds, and DTM Rajdeep sir took 3 minutes 28 seconds. Rest of the thing, I'll share the detailed report too at the end of the day.
Thank you. And the R counter, Toastmaster Rajanna.
Yes. So the report is like this. Amongst speakers, Toastmaster Zareen I feel that she took a short pause and a long pause. And Toastmaster Varsha, she doesn't have any tally marks here. And Sumitra ma'am used the word crutchwood hard twice. Among other speakers who spoke today, Toastmaster Ayappa has 2 hours, Lokesh has 3 hours, Abhirama 1 hour, and Sudipto sir, he has 5 hours. And like Toastmaster Alan, so I think you can, you have repeated and and yeah, that you can work on that. So this is the report.
Thank you so much, Toastmaster Rajana. And now moving on to the Grammarian, may I request Toastmaster Abhirama.
Thank you so much, General Evaluator. I was so happy listening to such good usage of English language today. There were many such good usages. I'll just list out a few of those. Eat to live, don't live to eat. My soul had begun to dance. Align with the grain and get along. Never justify to nullify. Use your tongue to heal, not to hurt. Some of the not so good usages were say those stories could have been tell those stories. Amazing opportunity of learning could have been amazing opportunity to learn. Now, I was very happy listening to such good English, but there was one person who was not at all happy. That was the word of the day, effectuate. Nobody used the word of the day. Back to you, General Evaluator.
Thank you so much, Abhirama, for that detailed evaluation. Now, there is a person who has been listening to all of us throughout the meeting, and it's now time for us to listen to her. So may I request Toastmaster Priyanka to take over, please.
Hello, everyone. Here I'm back again to test everyone's listening skills. Taking time into account, I just have 5 questions. I hope everybody would be able to. Okay, the first question. Toastmaster Ayappa started his speech with the quote. Does anyone remember? Can anyone mention the quote?
Words speak louder than actions.
You're almost
actions speak louder than words.
Exactly, correct, ma'am. Absolutely. So this goes to Sureka, ma'am. The second question. Toastmaster Lokesh, during his during his introduction of the thing, he mentioned this. Which year and month the first unofficial Toastmaster Club was formed? Does anyone?
1905.
Month?
22nd October?
No. Abhay, the year is correct. Month, do you remember?
May.
No. And I'll give this to Abhay. The month was March. Okay, the third question. In Toastmasters daring speech, which chemical in the brain is involved in empathy and trust?
Oxytocin.
Oxytocin.
Yes. Okay. Quite a lot of people answered this. Nice. The fourth question. DTM Sumitra ma'am shared 4 mantras for an happy equation. The first one was accept and not react, smile and bear, never justify to nullify. And what was the fourth one?
Comedy is the remedy.
Comedy, a remedy.
Yes, yes. Lovely. Nice to know that everyone were carefully listening. And the last question. Can anyone name the place? This was in Toastmaster Varsha's speech. Can anyone name the place where the concert was held that Toastmaster Varsha attended that ignited her passion that she had left behind?
Ravindra Kalakshetra.
Yes, absolutely. I'm very, very happy to know that almost everyone listened to the entire meeting. Thank you so much. Over to you, Toastmaster Alan.
Thank you, Priyanka. Now, as I thank the committee before that, I think the voting link for the role takers will be shared now on the group. Yeah, so let me just give everyone about 15 seconds to finish that off. It's 4 5s for Raghavendra. Yeah, so everyone, I would firstly like to thank the committee for giving me this opportunity to be the general evaluator for this meeting. I thoroughly enjoyed the meeting, and there's always a great learning being a part of this meeting. Of course, there are a lot of learnings that I shared, but I cannot tell you the amount of learnings that I got being a part of it, and that is invaluable. Right? Now I know that as a general evaluator, nobody evaluates a general evaluator. So if you have any feedback for me, please feel free to reach out to me personally, and it would be wonderful to hear from you. Having said that, I would like to hand over this meeting now to our dynamic TMOD of the day, Lokesh. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you very much, General Evaluator Toastmaster Ellen. So we move to the third segment of our meeting, where we have the business meeting, and after that we'll invite the presiding officer to share the awards and the recognition also. So with this, I hand it over to our I would say, as the data cruncher, whom we call as the data cruncher, someone who looks at the data and brings the insight. And with this, I'd like to invite Toastmaster Mahesh for this. I think we're coming to the end of the final things, and then I would like to invite Presiding Officer, President Ayyappa, for the recognitions and the awards.
Thank you so much, Toastmaster Lokesh, for taking us through this wonderful evening. Let us give Toastmaster Lokesh a good round of applause. Also, let us thank our treasurer for taking such a long effort to present this budget for the second time and making it pass. Thank you so much, Toastmaster Mahesh. I think it's already late. It's time to announce the awards. Yeah. Best role taker award goes to Toastmaster Alan. Best tag team player goes to Toastmaster Abhirama. Best evaluator goes to distinguished Toastmaster Rajdeep. Best speaker goes to Toastmaster Varsha. And there is one disqualification speaker because of he or she overshoot the time. Thank you so much. I request all of you to unmute and give all the winners a good round of applause. That's it from my end. With that note, I adjourn the meeting number 1267. Thank you so much. Have a very good night, good weekend. Take care. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Have a
Thank you
good
so much.
weekend.
Good night.
Stay safe.
Thank you.
Bye.
Right, and thank you.